So for that we can easily calculate the marginal distributions here. So the marginal PDF of x is, so you integrate x plus y with respect to y. So you get x plus half, that is the marginal distribution of x. Similarly, you can calculate the marginal distribution of y. Marginal PDF of y, that is obtained by integrating the joint distribution with respect to x. So that is equal to y plus half. So from here we can calculate the expectation x, that is integral x into x plus half dx 0 to 1. So that is 1 by 3 plus 1 by 4, that is 7 by 12. Actually, if you look at the distribution of x and y, they are same here. So expectation of y will also be same. Let us look at expectation of x square. So that is 0 to 1 x square into x plus half. So that is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 6. So that is becoming 5 by 12. So what is variance of x? That is 5 by 12 minus 49 by 144, that is 11 by 144. Since the form of the distribution is the same, so variance of y will also be same. So now let us calculate the covariance between x and y, that is expectation of xy minus expectation of x into expectation of y. So that is 1 by 3 minus 49 by 144, that is minus 1 by 144. So rho xy, that is covariance between xy divided by square root of variance of x into square root of variance of y. So that is equal to minus 1 by 11. So this is the coefficient of correlation between x and y here. Are these calculations clear?
Yes, sir.
Let me just do one more exercise here. Let us take another example, okay? Let xy be jointly distributed continuous random variables with PDF given by say 2 for 0 less than y less than x less than 1, and it is 0 elsewhere, okay? That is, the distribution is defined in this portion, y is less than x, that is, this is the proportion of the density. If we consider x and y here, then y is less than x in this portion. So once again we will require the expectation x, variance of x, expectation of x, y, etc. So let us calculate the marginal distributions here. The marginal distribution of x is obtained by integrating the joint distribution with respect to y. Now the region of integration of y for a given x is 0 to x, that is 2x. Similarly, if I consider the marginal distribution of y, that is obtained by integrating the joint distribution with respect to x, and for a fixed y, the region of x is from y to 1. So it gives me 2 into 1 minus y for 0 less than y less than 1. It is 0 elsewhere. So we are able to obtain the marginal distribution of x and y. So you can calculate the expectation x, expectation of x square, variance of x, expectation of y, expectation of y square, and variance of y, etc. So what is expectation of x? That is the integral 2x square dx, that is 2 by 3. What is expectation of x square? That is 2x cube dx 0 to 1. That will give me half. So what is the variance of x? That is of expectation x square minus expectation of x whole square. That is 1 by 18. In a similar way, I can calculate expectation of y. So expectation of y is again integral 0 to 1 to y into 1 minus y. So easily you can check this calculation. It is 1 minus 2y square, so that will give you 2 by 3, so that is 1 by 3. So 1 minus 2 by 3, that is 1 by 3. Then you can calculate expectation of y square, that is integral 0 to 1 to y square 1 minus y dy. So that is 2 by 3 minus 1 by 2, that is 1 by 6. So you get the variance of y as 1 by 6 minus 1 by 9, that is again 1 by 18. Variance of y is 1 by 6 minus 1 by 9, that is 1 by 18. Next we need the covariance between x and y. So for that again we will calculate expectation of xy, that is integral 2 times xy, and we can do dy dx or dx dy, so it doesn't matter. Let me put say dy dx. So the range of y is from 0 to x, and the range of x is then from 0 to 1. So this is a very trivial kind of integral. It is simply 1 by 4. So you get the covariance between x and y, that is expectation of xy minus expectation of x into expectation of y. That is 1 by 4 minus 2 by 3 into 1 by 3, that is 1 by 36. So the coefficient of correlation between x and y, that is covariance between x, y, divided by square root of variance of x into square root of variance of y. So that is 1 by 36 divided by 1 by 18. So that is half. So the coefficient of correlation between random variables x and y is half here. as I already explained to you in the last class, that it is representing the measure of linear relationship between x and y. Next, we consider the joint moment generating function of x and y. That is defined as mxy at points s and t. It is expectation of e to the power sx plus ty. If you remember the MGF of one random variable, it was defined as expectation of e to the power tx. So now it is expectation of e to the power sx plus ty. So provided it exists in a neighborhood of point 0, 0. And if it exists in a neighborhood of 0, 0, then all the integral order moments, product moments will exist. This expectation of e to the power sx plus ty, you can write as e to the power sx into e to the power ty. That means it is a product of expectations. Now we have seen that if the random variables are independent, then the expectation of a product is equal to product of the expectations. In the case of MGF, this property is stronger. In fact, this is both necessary and sufficient for independent. So x and y are independent. This implies and implied by that the joint MGF of x and y is equal to the product of the marginal MGFs I will skip the proof here. Of course, it is not very complicated, but it is not required at this point. So I will just skip that thing. And actually, the applications are more important here. Similarly, if the random variables are independent, if x and y are independent, then the moment generating function of the sum is equal to the product of the individual MGFs, which is a very interesting result, and I will show you that how it is useful for deriving various properties of the distributions. Let us look at the proof of this. It is of course very simple proof. Let x and y be independent. Then if I consider the moment generating function of the sum, that is expectation of e to the power t x plus y, then it is equal to expectation of e to the power tx into e to the power ty. So that is equal to, now if the random variables are independent, then you have one function of x and another is the function of y. So it is the expectation of the product that becomes the product of the expectations, that is expectation of e to the power tx into expectation of e to the power ty. That is nothing but the moment generating function of x at t and the moment generating function of y at t. So is this proof clear? Do you follow this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I will show you the usage of this for deriving various distributions. But before we go to that, let us take up one important joint distribution. So we have discussed several examples here of joint distributions in the case of discrete and joint distributions in the case of continuous. We have done several problems now. Now I will take up one special one. So that I will discuss separately. So that is nothing but the bivariate normal distribution. As the name suggests, it is actually generalization of the univariate normal distribution to two dimensions. So you may say that what is so special if I write two normal distributions and I multiply them, it gives the joint normal distribution. But I have now already discussed the concept of coefficient of correlation. So it need not be only independent, but it can be having certain correlation also. So that is the concept of jointly distributed normal distribution. So let us give the form of the distribution here. A continuous jointly distributed random vector x, y is said to have a bivariate normal distribution if it has PDF given by one by 2 pi sigma 1 sigma 2. So you can easily understand in one normal distribution you had 1 by sigma 1 root 2 pi and another one was 1 by sigma 2 root 2 pi. So this will be the product term, but we have something more here. So multiplied by square root of 1 minus rho square, and then you have e to the power minus 1 by 2 q, where q is x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square plus y minus mu2 by sigma 2 square minus 2 rho x minus mu1 by sigma 1 y minus mu2 by sigma 2 multiplied by 1 by 1 minus rho square. So is this term clear to you? Can you read it?
Yes, sir.
So if you look at carefully, if I was writing down one normal distribution with mean mu1 and variance sigma 1 square, then I will write 1 by root 2 pi sigma 1 e to the power minus 1 by 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square. If I write another normal distribution with mean mu2 and variance sigma 2 square, then I will write down the distribution as 1 by sigma 2 root 2 pi e to the power minus 1 by 2 y minus mu2 by sigma 2 square. So you can easily see that these terms are there. But then there is something else also coming, which involves a parameter rho. So we will show that actually it is nothing but the correlation coefficient between x and y. Of course, before that we have to obtain the joint distribution is given to you. So you have to obtain the marginal distribution, you have to obtain the conditional distributions and calculate various type of terms. Okay. So first of all, is the form of the distribution clear to you? Can you follow this?
Yes, sir.
So now I will start a little bit of manipulation, because I will like to calculate the marginal distribution of x and I will like to calculate the marginal distribution of y. Okay. So let us look at this. This term, if you see, it is nothing but a quadratic, isn't it? It is x power square, then y is in the square term. Of course, x minus mu1 by sigma 1 and y minus mu2 by sigma 2. And then there is a cross product term there. It suggests that I can write it as a perfect square either in x or in y. Okay, in both of them it can be done and some adjustment will need to be made. So let us do that. So this q term I will consider. Okay, so this q term we can write. Okay, before that I should say something. See, whenever we write down a distribution, we should talk about the range of the variables here. I did not mention because we already know that in the normal distribution you have range of variables. So x is any real that is from minus infinity to plus infinity. Y is any real from minus infinity to infinity. In fact, we should say that xy belongs to R2, because jointly we can say, because it's a jointly distributed random variable, so it is better to write like this. Okay. And what are these parameters? Mu1 is a real number, mu2 is a real number, sigma 1 is positive, sigma 2 is positive, and this rho, because of the form that it is coming in the square root 1 minus rho square, it should always be between minus 1 and plus 1, otherwise this term will become invalid. The density will become invalid. Therefore, in order for the validity, rho should lie between minus 1 and plus 1. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So this q we write in two different forms. Okay, one is we write it as x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square plus y minus mu2 by sigma 2 minus rho x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square. Okay, so let us look at it whether whatever I have written is does make sense or not. So this is x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square. So what I do, I here consider 1 minus rho square plus rho square term here. Okay. So 1 minus rho square term if I cut, then 1 minus rho square in the numerator and denominator gets cancelled out, and I get x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square. Then the remaining term make it is a perfect square, that is y minus mu2 by sigma 2 square minus 2 rho x minus mu1 by sigma 1 into y minus mu2 by sigma 2 plus rho square x minus mu1 by sigma 1 square. So it becomes a perfect square. So you get this term. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
if that is so, this joint distribution fxy, I can write like this. Then we can express fxy like this: 1 by sigma 1 root 2 pi e to the power minus 1 by 2 x minus mu 1 by sigma 1 square into multiplied by 1 by sigma 2 root 1 minus rho square root 2 pi e to the power minus 1 by 2 sigma 2 square 1 minus rho square y minus mu 2 plus rho sigma 2 x minus mu 1 by sigma 1 whole square. So by using this rearrangement of the terms of Q, I can write the joint distribution of x and y as the product of two terms. Okay, as the product of two terms, like this particular term, in which you can see that the second term involves only y, the first term involves the y is involved only in the second term, and x is of course there in both the places. So is this calculation okay? Is it okay? Is this calculation okay?
Yes, sir.
Now suppose I want to integrate this with respect to y. I want to get the marginal distribution of x. Then I will integrate this with respect to y. So the first term that I have written, it will not be integrated because that is involving only x. The second term is looking like a density function of y with a mean mu2. So I think I have missed out a sign here. This will come here. This will be acting as a mean of y, and this will act as the variance of y. So if I integrate with respect to y from minus infinity to infinity, it is a normal distribution with this mean and this variance. So the integral should be equal to 1. So the marginal PDF of x is nothing but the first term that is here. So what you have proved that the marginal distribution of x is normal with mean mu1 and variance sigma 1 square here. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Another thing that you note here, if I want to find out the conditional distribution of y given x here, so what I will have to do, I have to divide the marginal distribution of, I have to divide the joint distribution of x and y with the marginal distribution of x. And if you do that, exactly this particular term will get cancelled out on both the terms. So you will be left with this part. Okay. Also we can get the conditional PDF of y given x as whatever notation I defined in the last class. I will use that notation. So this term gets exactly cancelled out and you are left with 1 by sigma 2 root 1 minus rho square into root 2 pi e to the power minus 1 by 2 sigma 2 square 1 minus rho square y minus mu 2 plus rho sigma 2 x minus mu 1 by sigma 1 whole square, which is nothing but a normal distribution with this mean and this variance. So conditional distribution of y given x is also normal with mean mu 2 plus rho sigma 2 x minus mu 1 by sigma 1 and variance sigma 2 square into 1 minus rho square. So you have proved something very interesting. If xy has a joint bivariate distribution, then the marginal distribution of x is univariate normal and the conditional distribution of y given x is also univariate normal. Now the same exercise you can do by interchanging the roles of x and y here. I considered here splitting of q like this, where I took out one term of x outside and remaining term I adjusted with y. I can take out the term with y outside and then adjust the remaining term with x. So then I will get the reverse term. Let me consider that. We can also write q as y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 square plus x minus mu 1 plus mu 1 by sigma 1 square minus rho y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 whole square. You can just see it is exactly the same type of term that I wrote here, only the roles of x and y have been interchanged here. So I get this term. So this particular term that I wrote, that is the joint density of xy split into two parts, I can again do the same thing. So the joint PDF of x and y can be expressed as fxy as 1 by sigma 2 root 1 minus root 2 pi e to the power minus y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 square 1 by 2, and the remaining term will come for this part. So that I will write here as multiplied by 1 by sigma 1 root 1 minus rho square root 2 pi e to the power minus 1 by 2 sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square x minus mu 1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 whole square. So the marginal distribution of x will be obtained, the marginal distribution of y will be obtained if I integrate with respect to x. So if I integrate with respect to x, this particular term, if you see, this particular term is looking like a normal distribution of x with mean mu1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 and variance sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square. So if I integrate with respect to x from minus infinity to plus infinity, this term will become 1. So you will be left with only the first part here. So you get the marginal PDF of y So you are getting the marginal distribution of y is normal mean mu 2 and variance sigma 2 square. And you can immediately see the conditional distribution of x given y also, because if you divide by this term to the joint distribution, exactly this term will get cancelled out and you will be left with the second part here. The second part here is this part, which is nothing but again a normal distribution with mean mu1 plus rho sigma 1 into y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 and variance sigma 1 square into 1 minus rho square. We get the conditional PDF of x given y as 1 by sigma 1 square sigma 1 root 1 minus rho square root 2 pi e to the power minus 1 by 2 sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square x minus mu 1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 whole square. That is the conditional distribution of x given y is also univariate normal with mean mu 1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 and variance sigma 1 square into 1 minus rho square. So if you have a joint bivariate normal distribution, the conditional distributions and the marginal distributions are univariate normal. This is a very, very interesting property of joint bivariate normal distribution. You can also look at the converse. If the distribution of X is univariate normal and the conditional distribution of Y given X is univariate normal, then if you combine the two, you will get the joint distribution as bivariate normal. And similarly, if I consider the marginal distribution of Y as univariate normal and the conditional distribution of X given as univariate normal, then by combining the two, you will get the joint distribution of X and Y as bivariate normal. So again, you get a necessary and sufficient condition for a jointly distributed random variable to have a bivariate normal distribution. X and Y have bivariate normal distribution if and only if the marginal distributions of X and Y and the conditional distributions of X given Y and Y given X are univariate normal. So the proof of this is of course obvious because I have already done the derivation here, so you know the proof here. Is that okay? Is this statement clear? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So is this statement clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, because of this, if you are given a joint bivariate normal distribution and you are asked any probability statement about conditional distribution or marginal distribution, etc., you can calculate it using the properties of the univariate normal distribution, because you already know how to calculate the moments or the probabilities related to the univariate normal. So let me just take some simple examples here to illustrate this here. So suppose I have X, Y following a bivariate normal distribution with parameters. Okay, so what is the standard notation? Because I have to abbreviate. We write BVN. You have means mu1 and mu2. You have variances sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square, and there is another coefficient that is rho here. So the first two corresponding to the means, the second two corresponds to the variances, and then additional coefficient. So let us put something here, say 641, 0.25 and say 0.1. Okay, this is related to something. I am not explaining that here because I just want to solve certain problem here. So here what will be the marginal distribution here? X will follow normal 6, 1. What will be the distribution of Y? That will be normal 4.25, isn't it? For example, what will be the conditional distribution of say Y given X? That will be normal with mean mu2. So mu2 is 4 plus rho sigma 2. Sigma 2 is 0.5 divided into x minus mu1 divided by sigma 1, and variance will become sigma 2 square, that is 0.25 into 1 minus rho square. Okay, so I have written the properties here. If xy has a joint bivariate, then the conditional distribution, the marginal distribution of x is normal with mean mu1 and variance sigma 1 square. Y has a marginal distribution which is normal with mean mu2 and variance sigma 2 square. The conditional distribution of y given x is normal with mean mu2 plus rho sigma 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1 and variance sigma 2 square into 1 minus rho square. We can also write down the conditional distribution of x given y, that will be normal with mean mu1 plus rho sigma 1, that is that is 1 here, 1 into y minus mu2 by sigma 2, and variance will become sigma 1 square, that is 1 into 1 minus. So you are able to calculate exactly the marginal distributions and the conditional distributions. Now suppose I take some specific problem here, you can answer that. Is this statements clear to you? Can you follow these statements?
Yes, sir.
So we can answer certain questions here. For example, if I ask you, what is the probability, say, suppose I ask, what is the probability x less than or equal to 5? Then the distribution of x is, that is z less than or equal to 5 minus 6 by 1, that is phi of minus 1. Now these things you already done. Phi of minus 1, how much it was? Point, I think 1587. You have done the class test in the last Tuesday. I think it was 0.1587. Similarly, suppose I want to calculate some other value. Suppose I want to use the conditional distribution of y given x. Okay. See, this is the probability that x is less than or equal to 5. Okay. Suppose I want to find out what is the probability of, say, y less than or equal to 5 given that x is equal to 5. Then where from I will calculate this? I will calculate it from the conditional distribution of y given x. Here I will put small x is equal to 5. So if I put small x is equal to 5, that is y given x is equal to 5, then that will become, you can do this calculation here, 4 plus 0.1 into 0.5 into 5 minus 6 by 1. So this will become little bit simplified, 0.05. So it will become 3.975. Similarly, this part you can simplify, that will give me 0.2475. So this is the distribution here. So this probability, then this becomes z less than or equal to 5 minus 3.975 divided by square root of 0.2475. So this, of course, you can easily check what it is, 0.206. And see the tables of the normal distribution, it is approximately 0.98. So do you follow these calculations? If the joint bivariate is given, then you can obtain probabilities are the moments related to any one of them, that is marginal, or conditional also, because they are univariate normal. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Let us take another example. Here xy is bivariate normal with 2000.1, 2500, 0.01 and 0.87. If that is so, what is the marginal distribution of x? That will be normal with mean 2000 and variance 2500. Y will have univariate normal with mean 0.1 and variance 0.01. If I want to calculate the conditional distribution of x given y, suppose I am asking the question, what is the probability, say, x greater than 1950, given that, say, y is equal to 0.098. Just some value I have put here for y and certain probability I want to calculate. So I will need to calculate the conditional distribution of x given y is equal to 0.098. So this formula we know, it is mu1 plus rho sigma 1 into y minus mu2. So y is 0.098 minus mu2 is 0.1 divided by sigma 2, that is 0.1. And variance is sigma 1 square, that is 2500 into 1 minus 0.87 square, that is rho square, 1 minus rho square. So you can simplify this. This is nothing but the normal distribution, and these calculations you can simplify. It is 2000 into 0.87 and this is 607.25. So if I am calculating this probability, it is probability z greater than 1950 minus 2000.87 divided by square root of 607.25. So anyway, this coefficients can be easily simplified. So the probability will become z greater than minus, you can simplify this. Oh, it is again coming to point, this one. So that is phi of 2.06. That is approximately 0.98. So these calculations are okay.
Yes, sir.
Before I find out the expression for rho here, let us do one result here regarding the joint distributions. Okay, the result is as follows. You can see here that if I want to calculate any joint moments, etc., I have to do the integration with respect to x and then with respect to y, isn't it, from the joint distribution. This I can do in an iterative way as follows also. So suppose x and y are jointly distributed. Okay, and I am considering, say, expectation of, say, gxy. Then what I have to do? Either it is summation or it is an integral. So suppose I consider integral. Okay, so then this is equal to gxy fxy dx dy or dy dx, in whatever way you want to write. Okay, we can write it like this: gxy fxy divided by fy dx into fyy dy. I have divided by fy and multiplied by fy. Okay. Now this inside quantity, if you see, this is nothing but the conditional distribution of x given y. So if I am integrating certain term multiplied by the density, then it is nothing but the expectation. So the interpretation for this inside term is expectation of g x y given y, because this is the conditional distribution of x given y, and then I am multiplying by the density. So this becomes, then we can write it as expectation of expectation gxy given y. That means the inner expectation is with respect to the conditional distribution of x given y, and then with respect to marginal distribution of y. That means if I want to find out any joint expectation, then I can do it in two steps. Firstly, I calculate the conditional expectation of that term where one of the variables is fixed, and then I calculate the expectation with respect to the second variable, that is with respect to the marginal distribution of the second variable. The proof will be similar if I consider, in place of this double integral, if I write double summation, then also the proof will be similar. And also I can interchange the roles of x and y here. Here I can divide by the marginal of x also. If I do that, then this will become expectation of y given x, and here it will become expectation of x. So we then get the following result, which I state here. Let x, y be jointly distributed random variables, and g be a function from R2 to R2, then expectation of gxy can be calculated iteratively as expectation of expectation gxy given y and then with respect to y, or it can be calculated as gxy given x and then with respect to x, provided expectation exists. So when we are doing calculations for joint distributions, then this type of results are very, very useful. Okay. I will show you the application now in the case of bivariate normal. So is this statement clear to you? The statement is that the joint expectation can be calculated iteratively. Firstly, conditional with respect to one of the variables, and then with respect to marginally with respect to another variable, and order can be any of them. Can you?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So here G
Yes.
is a function from R2 to R2 or R2 to R.
Okay, R2 to R. Yeah. Yeah, it is R2 to R. Yeah. It can be R2 to R2 also, but of course, right now let us talk about one term only. It can be R2 to R2 also, because then it will become a two-dimensional term. Anyway, we are not considering right now that thing here. So is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us take a break for 5 minutes and then we can continue here. Okay, so let us consider here the moments and the product moments of this bivariate normal distribution. Okay. Is the screen visible to you? Can you see the screen here?
Yes, sir.
So let us consider, say, x, y follow bivariate normal distribution. So x follows normal mu1 sigma 1 square and y follows normal mu2 sigma 2 square. Okay, so you are immediately getting that expectation of x is mu1, variance of x is sigma 1 square, expectation of y is mu2, variance of y is equal to sigma 2 square. So if I consider the moments of x as well as y, they are all obtainable. You can also have third moment, fourth moment, and so on. Everything is given to you. Let us talk about only first two order here. And then if I consider, say, conditional distribution here, then the conditional distribution of x given y, that is normal with mean mu1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu2 by sigma 2 into and variance is sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square. Then expectation of x given y, that is mu1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu2 by sigma 2 and and variance of x given y, that is equal to sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square. Similarly, the conditional distribution of y given x is normal with mean mu2 plus rho sigma 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1 sigma 2 square 1 minus rho square. So expectation of y given x is equal to mu2 plus rho sigma 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1 and variance of y given x is equal to sigma 2 square into 1 minus rho square. So these statements are clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, since here mu1 and mu2 are the means of sigma 1 and of x and y respectively, therefore the covariance between x and y, that is nothing but the expectation of x minus mu1 into y minus mu2, because that is the formula for the covariance term, that is expectation of x minus expectation x into y minus expectation of y. Now this is a product moment and I will calculate it using the property that I just now exhibited, that I can calculate it iteratively. That means I can consider expectation of x minus mu1 into y minus mu2 given x. That is with respect to the conditional distribution of y given x. So this is expectation of x. If x is fixed, then x minus mu1 I can take out, and I am left with expectation of y minus mu2 given x. Is this step clear? Can you follow this step?
Yes, sir.
And what is the value of this expectation of y minus mu2 given x? See, expectation of y given x is mu2 plus rho sigma 2 by into x minus mu1 by sigma 1. So expectation of y minus mu2 given x, that is rho sigma 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1. So it is nothing but expectation of x minus mu1 into rho sigma 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1. Is that okay? I have written from here rho sigma 2 x minus mu1 by sigma 1. So I have written that term here. That is equal to rho sigma 2 by sigma 1 expectation of x minus mu1 square. Expectation of x minus mu1 square is variance of x, that is sigma 1 square. So rho sigma 2 by sigma 1 into sigma 1 square, that is rho sigma 1 sigma 2. So covariance between x and y in a bivariate normal distribution is rho sigma 1 sigma 2. So you can calculate the coefficient of correlation straight away from here. So correlation between x and y, that is covariance between x and y divided by square root variance of x square root variance of y, that is rho sigma 1 sigma 2 divided by sigma 1 sigma 2. That is equal to rho. So actually we have identified all the parameters for the bivariate normal distribution. Mu1, mu2 denote the mean of x and y, sigma 1 square and sigma 2 square denote the variances of sigma 1 square, sigma 2 of x and y, and rho denotes the coefficient of correlation between x and y. So all the parameters of the bivariate normal distributions are identified here. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Let us also look at the joint MGF also here. Okay, let us calculate the joint moment generating function of xy, that is mxy st, that is expectation of e to the power sx plus ty. So again you can see that this is nothing but the expectation of a function of two variables. So I can use again the same property, I will do it iteratively. So I can consider it as expectation of e to the power sx plus ty given x or given y. Let us put y here. I have already exhibited one type of calculation, so let me do the other way here. The second expectation is with respect to the marginal of y. So this we can write as expectation of so if y is fixed, e to the power ty I can keep outside, and I get expectation of e to the power sx given y. Is this step clear?
Yes, sir.
So inside quantity expectation of e to the power sx given y, it is nothing but the moment generating function of the distribution of x given y at the point S. And the conditional distribution of x given y is normal, you know that thing. For normal distribution with mean mu and variance sigma square, the moment generating function is e to the power mu t plus half sigma square t square, where mu is the mean and variance is sigma square. Now for the conditional distribution of x given y, you know the mean and you know the variance. So at the point S, the MGF will be e to the power mu s plus half sigma square s square, where mu is the mean and sigma square is the variance. So this you can write as so this will give me e to the power mu 1 plus rho sigma 1 y minus mu 2 by sigma 2 s plus half sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square s square. So we will have to do some simplifications here. Let us take out all the terms which are of constant nature. So e to the power mu 1 s minus rho sigma 1 mu 2 by sigma 2 s plus half sigma 1 square 1 minus rho square s square, and then you are left with expectation of e to the power t plus rho sigma 1 by sigma 2 s into y. This term is constant, so I have taken out of the expectation sign, and then expectation of e to the power t plus rho sigma 1 by sigma 2 s into y. This is nothing but the moment generating function of y at the point t plus rho sigma 1 by sigma 2 s. So this is nothing but e to the power mu 1 s minus rho sigma 1 mu 2 by sigma 2 s plus half sigma 1 square s square minus half sigma 1 square rho square s square, and this moment generating function is e to the power mu 2 into t plus rho sigma 1 by sigma 2 s plus half sigma 2 square into t plus rho sigma 1 by sigma 2 s whole square. So it's a matter of simplification now. E to the power mu 1 s plus mu 2 t plus half sigma 1 square s square plus half sigma 2 square t square. And let us look at other terms here. This mu 2 into rho sigma 1 by sigma 2 s, it gets cancelled out with this term here. Similarly, if I consider this term here, rho square sigma 1 square s square by half, this cancels out with this term here. And then we are left with one cross product term here. That cross product will give me rho sigma 1 sigma 2 s t. So this is the moment generating function of the bivariate normal distribution. Is the proof clear?
Yes, sir.
If you had two normal distributions, one with mean mu1 and variance sigma 1 square and another with mean mu2 and variance sigma 2 square, then I will get the MGF as e to the power mu1s plus mu2t plus half sigma 1 square s square plus half sigma 2 square t square. So for the joint distribution, this additional term, that is rho sigma 1 sigma 2 st, is also present here. So we can prove certain important results here. Let x, y have a bivariate normal distribution. Then x and y are independent if and only if rho is equal to 0. So if rho is 0, then x and y will be independent, and if x and y are independent, rho is 0 in the case of a bivariate normal distribution. For proving this result, you can actually make use of the joint MGF. X and y are independent. We have proved that this is if and only if the joint MGF is equal to the product of the marginal MGFs. So this condition is equivalent to e to the power mu1s plus mu2t plus half sigma 1 square s square plus half sigma 2 square t square plus rho sigma 1 sigma 2 st, that is equal to e to the power mu1 s plus half sigma 1 square s square into e to the power mu2 t plus half sigma 2 square t square. So for all s and t, it is possible if and only if rho is equal to 0. Another important property that you can use, you can prove here by using the moment generating function. It is called the linearity property of a bivariate normal distribution. So the property is that if x and y have a bivariate normal distribution, then if I consider x plus y, 2x plus 3y, that means any linear combination of x and y, that will again have a univariate normal distribution. So I will state this result in the form of the following theorem. X, y follow bivariate normal distribution with parameters if and only if ax plus by follow normal a mu1 plus b mu2, a square sigma 1 square plus b square sigma 2 square plus twice ab rho sigma 1 sigma 2 for all real a and b. So this is another very important result. Of course, it can follow just by using the joint moment generating function here. So I am just leaving this proof as an exercise here, okay? Because you have to use only the joint MGF, the formula that I have already given. So if you use that, you will get the result here. So I am skipping the proof here. So this concept of a two-dimensional random variable we can easily extend to 3-dimension, 4-dimension, and in general k-dimensional random variable. So I actually carried out all the detailed expressions for the two-dimensional, so that in the general case I don't have to write repeatedly all those things. So I will just give the notations here. For example, x is equal to x1, x2, xk is a function from omega into rk. So this is a, of course it has to be a measurable function, as we have the technical condition here, and the joint distribution function, or the joint CDF actually, it is denoted by fxx, where this x is x1, x2, xk. That is probability of in the case of two variable, you have seen that if I consider any one of the random variables tending to plus infinity, then I get the marginal CDF of the other one. Now here if I have k random variables, then I can take limit of some of them tending to plus infinity, then it will become the joint CDF of the remaining random variables. If I take any of the random variables tending to minus infinity, then it will become 0. So you have the following properties. Let me just briefly describe that. So if I take limit of xj tending to infinity for j not equal to I is equal to 1 to r, then I will get the marginal CDF of xi1, xi2, xir, where this is a subset of x1, x2, xk. And if I take limit of fx with respect to any xi tending to minus infinity, this is 0. Then the third property is that f is non-decreasing in each of its arguments. That means if I keep say x2, x3, xk as fixed and I increase x1, then f of x1 will increase, and so on. So for every this one, it will become non-decreasing function. F is also continuous from right in each of its arguments. And of course, you can have jointly discrete and jointly continuous. So you will have the joint PMF and joint PDF. In case x1, x2, xk is jointly discrete, we have joint probability mass function the properties, of course, that the if we sum over all the values, then the sum of the PMF is 1. And of course, PMF actually denotes the probability of the point. Hello. The marginals and conditionals similarly, if they are they are jointly continuous. So then this satisfies the properties that this is non-negative function. The integral over the entire k-dimensional space, that should be equal to 1. And if I am calculating the probability of any region in the k-dimensional space, then it is nothing but the integral over that set. We can talk about the joint MGF. That is expectation of e to the power t1 x1 plus t2 x2 plus tk xk. Also, if the x1, x2, xk are independently distributed, then moment generating function of the sum is equal to the product of the where y is the sum of xy's. So moment generating function of the sum is equal to product of the MGFs if the random variables are independent. Using this last result that I have given, we can actually prove the additive properties of various distributions. So let me give here So let us consider, say, x1, x2, xk be independent and identically distributed. Okay, so I am using the word IID, independent and identically distributed random variables with xi following, say, binomial NIP. Okay, for I is equal to 1 to k. Then y is equal to sigma xi, that will follow binomial again with some added here and p. That means binomial distribution is additive if the probability p is constant. See, you consider the moment generating function of the sum, then by this result it is the product of the individual ones. I is equal to 1 to k q plus p e to the power t to the power ni. Since p and q are same here, this exponent will get added up here. So this becomes q plus p e to the power t to the power sigma ni. I is equal to 1 to k, which is nothing but the MGF of a binomial distribution with parameter sigma ni and p. So binomial distribution is additive in nature provided the probability p is constant. You can physically interpret it like this, that if I have n1 trials and x1 is the number of success in n1 trials, x2 is the number of success in n2 trials, then x1 plus x2 will denote the number of success in n1 plus n2 trials. If the trials are done independently, then it is nothing but a binomial distribution. So we can prove it using this additive property here easily. We have additive property of other distributions also in a similar way. Suppose I consider, say, x1, x2, xk are IID, say Poisson lambda. Okay, so let us put here BIID Poisson random variables with xi following Poisson lambda I is equal to 1 to k, and y is of course sigma xi. Then y will again follow a Poisson distribution with parameter sigma lambda I. You can prove it in a similar way here. See, myt will become the product of mxit, I is equal to 1 to k. So that is product of I is equal to 1 to k e to the power lambda I e to the power t minus 1. So it becomes e to the power sigma lambda I is equal to 1 to k e to the power t minus 1, which is MGF of a Poisson distribution. Poisson sigma lambda I distribution. So Poisson distribution is also additive. Again, you can consider it as that I am considering one set of Poisson arrivals, and then I consider another set of Poisson arrivals, and then I consider another set of Poisson arrivals. So if I look at the total interval, what is the total number of arrivals? Again, it follows a Poisson distribution. let x1, x2, xk be IID geometric P. Okay. Then what is the distribution of sigma xi? That will be negative binomial with k and p. So again, anyway, I am not writing down the proof of these. You can write yourself here. Okay, you write yourself. Suppose x1, x2, xk follow exponential lambda, then y is equal to sigma xi, that will follow gamma k lambda. Again, you can use just the moment generating function and you can prove all of these results easily. Finally, you can prove the linearity property of the normal distribution also using the same approach here. Let x1, x2, xk be independent normal random variables with xi following normal mu I sigma I square. Okay, for I is equal to 1 to k. Let us take, say, y is equal to sigma ai xi plus bi, I is equal to 1 to k. Then y will follow normal with mean sigma ai mu I plus bi, and variance will become sigma ai square sigma I square. So this is the linearity property of the normal distribution. For other distributions, it is only additive property, and that too in one parameter. But in normal distribution, it is more flexible. You have, first of all, both the parameters can vary, and second thing is that in place of addition, we can have any linear combination also. Like I can consider 2x1 plus 3x3, 3x2 minus 4x5, and so on. So all those things can also work out. So again, I'm just skipping the proof here. These are all, of course, very simple, because once you have this MGF approach, you can write all of that. Okay, so I just leave it as an exercise for you. So in the next class, I will give you some applications of these results, and then we will move over to other transformations. Here I am considering only linear transformation or the additions, but we can also consider the transformations of the random variables, like I may consider x square plus y square or another kind of function of two variables or more. So then what are the results? So we can use the Jacobian concept, which I will be telling in the next class. So I will stop today's class at this point.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, in the last class also we have discussed a question. If you could open the Teams and check, I have actually posted a message also for you to check.
I have given it to, actually this part I have asked the other professors. There are other professors, no? So because I am quite busy with other things. So I told them to check that thing. So I think they will do that part. Which question paper? First one or second one?
The second class test, sir.
Second class test. That something related to this binomial experiment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will ask them to check that thing. I will ask them. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I just had a general doubt about the final grading for this course. Sir, is it
Yeah. Yeah.
so? Is it so like that? Is it so that if I get, let's say, 90% or above on aggregate, an EX will be confirmed, or is the final criterion not yet confirmed? The criterion for getting an EX in this course.
I don't know. Some noise is coming. I can't hear. Yeah. So those things we will decide. So don't worry about all those things. Actually, you just perform your this one, and let us see how the grading will be done, because it's a large class. So because 950 students are there, so usually we look at the distribution, and I am teaching you the normal distribution. So generally we look at that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. We'll just plot a normal curve and then see how the marks are varied, and accordingly we'll give the grade. So don't worry about all those things. Okay. Your aim should be to learn, whether you learned much or not. But I am seeing the attendance very poor now. There are 240 students in my class. I am seeing only 100 or something. In fact, in the last class, I saw only some 20 students were there. So I don't know whether you are following anything or not. You are bothered only about grade. Because this course is one of the basic courses. If you don't do it well, then you will not be able to use it in further courses, because I know that a lot of students want to go for business analytics, machine learning and all. So if you do it well, then only you will be successful there. And you are not attending the classes, then you will have a lot of difficulty. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll close the class now.